Humanity's oldest tools. You'll find it all on the Academic Minute.
Listen every weekday afternoon during the KSJE Evening News at 5:30. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, which is officially baby-friendly. This evidence-based initiative is designed to support mother-baby bonding and optimal infant feeding practices by upholding the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding. San Juan Regional Medical Center, officially baby-friendly, and serving the Four Corners since 1910. Find out more online at sanjuanregional.com. Minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Thursday morning, December 12th. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Micklin, and thank you for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air in San Juan County, 103.3 FM over the air in Durango, Colorado, and of course you can listen everywhere from our website. Just go to ksje.com. Also, a good morning to our viewers who are watching our live stream this morning to the KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. It's our visual radio program, and good morning to you, everyone. We're glad that you are with us as well. Coming up, we're talking economic development today. My guest, Arvin Trujillo, is here from Four Corners Economic Development. We'll be talking about some of the issues that he is working on, as well as an event happening early next year in January that we want you to know about and maybe save the date for. So that is coming up in the next few moments right here on KSJE. So please stay tuned for that. Then later on, we'll check in with Jason Calcote from Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation. He has got the word on the economy for us, the latest on interest rates, trade talks with the U.S. and China, and much, much more. That is coming up towards the end of the hour this morning at 8:55. Mick Hess will be here roving with the arts after the news at 9:06. And today, Mick is talking about the upcoming concert this Saturday, the Best Brass of Christmas. He's speaking with some of the performers in that concert, and I'm sure playing some selections. So join us for that coming up this morning on Roving with the Arts at 9:06 right here on KSJE. Of course, you know we're on Facebook and YouTube. Did you also know you can follow us on Twitter and also connect with KSJE on Instagram as well? Weather forecast today, mostly sunny on this Thursday, 44 for a high in Farmington, 26 tonight. It'll be partly sunny tomorrow with a high of 47 on Friday. And then we have a chance of rain and snow showers this weekend. High of 48 on Saturday with rain or snow expected. Overnight 33 with snow on Saturday night, and then a mix of rain and snow on Sunday with a high of only 39 and an overnight low of 21 before things clear up again on Monday with sunshine but cold. The high 32 on Monday, and overnight low in the teens for early next week. Well, let me turn to my guest who is here with me this morning. Arvin Trujillo is back, the CEO of Four Corners Economic Development. Good morning.
Good morning, Scott.
Welcome back. Yes. Thank you for being here. And again, you are keeping yourself very busy.
Oh, we've got things moving along, and we've got some big events coming up.
Indeed.
That we're really happy about.
I want to ask you about one happening tomorrow, right? Because you mentioned that you've got somebody coming in tomorrow that sounds interesting, right? So tell me about that.
We have a gentleman by the name of Scott Hodges coming in.
Like the name already. Got to be a good guy.
And he's going to be coming in to talk to us about natural gas and natural gas opportunities that are happening in Mexico, and what we here in the basin may be able to look at, and what opportunities that may arise as a result of that, or what we should be looking for and what maybe we could prepare for. So he's coming in with a presentation looking at those opportunities, looking at what we might start thinking about as we look at natural gas development. But also he's looking at how we might be able to expand natural gas into value-added product and what opportunities are there. That falls right into some of the work we're doing in trying to get a petrochemical plant into the region, right, and looking at an associated railroad infrastructure in place also.
And so by talking about the natural gas, because we always hear how low the price is, and so the market for natural gas is somewhat challenging, right? And
that's
so
correct.
In our area, the price is so low that it's hard to maybe economically get it out of the ground. And I know there's a lot of folks that are just kind of sitting on those those wells and those lease sites waiting for the price to go up. Is that something that could change the demand locally, regionally, I guess, and not depend on the worldwide price?
Well, again, that's what I want to find out.
Okay, me too.
And that's what we want to bring Scott in to really talk about that, to see what are those opportunities. Given the fact that Mexico may be looking at things much more differently with natural gas, does that open things up for us? And how can we possibly take advantage of some of those opportunities that may be available to us in that realm? So Scott wants to talk to us about that, and we're bringing him in.
So he's going to be here tomorrow at the
10
School
o'clock.
of Energy, right here at San Juan College.
That's correct.
And
Tomorrow at 10 o'clock at the School of Energy in the Merriam Room.
Open to the public?
Open to the public.
Okay, so folks can show up and see.
We just want to have you come in and see what's happening. We have a lot of not only producers, but we have a lot of vendors who are involved in the natural gas industry. It might be good information for you to take a look at or listen to, ask questions.
Sure.
And again, as I've indicated before, when we talk about economic development, when we look at economic development, it's just not one entity, it's just not one person doing it, but it's the whole community coming together to see what can we do and how do we do these things in order to take advantages of opportunities coming down the road.
Right. And as I think about it here, I suppose if I was a natural gas producer and I had a bunch of wells and I could get natural gas out of the ground, if I knew I had a market for it, and you're talking about what's going on in Mexico, that there may be some opportunities, and that country, if I remember correctly, doesn't have a lot of maybe natural gas resources. Isn't that true?
That's correct.
So they import a lot of what they need.
Exactly.
And that's the issue, I guess, that what he'll be talking about tomorrow.
And that's kind of what we're looking at, and that's kind of information we're wanting to see what Scott has to say. He's been doing work down in that area. He's out of the Houston area. He's been looking at this, and so again, with the help of Representative James Strickler, he was able to get in touch with Scott and ask him to come and speak, and so we're working with Representative Strickler to bring this to the public and members here in the region here.
Nice, very good. And again, this basin, I think folks sometimes we think about the Permian Basin. There's a lot of activity going on there, but that's oil.
Right.
Natural gas is really our bread and butter in this part of the country, right? In this part of the world. So that was why he's coming in to talk specifically about natural gas.
Right.
And that.
Right.
So that's tomorrow.
Okay,
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
School of Energy.
That's correct.
Got it. All right.
That's correct.
Very good. The other event I know that is maybe a bit bigger event is happening in January, correct?
Yes.
And that is on January 8th here at San Juan College, and you're calling it the Current and Future Economic Opportunities and Challenges.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, give me the details on that.
Okay. On January 8th, we're bringing in 3 speakers, and we're looking at about a 3-hour program. We have Sarah House, who's the director and senior economist for Wells Fargo Securities. And she's coming in to look at 2020 and to talk to us about what should we be expecting on the national environmental and national economic scene, as well as looking at the international aspects and what should we be expecting going into 2020. We're also bringing in Dr. James Peach, who's a retired professor out of New Mexico State. He's going to be focusing his discussion also looking at 2020, but focusing more on the state of New Mexico. What do we have here? What should we be expecting? How do we have an outlook? He may even be looking at, what's the legislature doing this year? How do we begin to look at a number of these upcoming areas that will affect economic development?
Okay, and he taught economics.
He taught economics
at NMSU.
At NMSU. He's retired now, but he still has the pulse of what's happening here in New Mexico. So he's coming in to speak about the state of New Mexico.
Good to know. And of course, as we know from living here, right, that sometimes New Mexico kind of lags behind the national economic trends from time to time. I know when we entered the Great Recession, we were a few years later than the rest of the country, and we came out of it slowly a few years later than the rest of the country, too. If you could say we're out of it, I don't know. But maybe he does. And again, he can talk about that.
He'll talk about that. And again, kind of give us a snapshot as to what he thinks is going to be happening in 2020. And then we're bringing in another person by the name of Rachel Maskowitz.
Yeah.
And she's with the Department of Workforce Solutions. She's the bureau chief for the Economic Research and Analysis Bureau within the department there. And she's going to be talking about the regional aspects here in New Mexico, the Four Corners area, what she sees here, what she's kind of anticipating as we look into 2020, and how that may fit with. And by listening to the three speakers, you'll be able to kind of gauge, here's where we are regionally, here's where we are from a state outlook, and then here's where we see the nation and the international markets going. Because as you're well aware, Scott, the economy now, whatever happens internationally and nationally, will eventually have an effect here within our county and our region.
That's right.
And so the better we understand what's coming down the road, the better we can either prepare ourselves for possible opportunities that may be coming down the road, and vice versa. We're able to prepare ourselves for coming challenges that we may be facing.
Sure. Well, and especially I think local business leaders certainly want to know what's coming or how to best prepare their business so that they can maybe be aware of what's out there and opportunities and things like that, because a lot of people will say, in times of economic downturn, that could be opportunities for business if you do it the right way and if you're smart about it. So this is one of those times, it seems.
And again, this is information that people can take, even as small businesses. This might be information that would be helpful to you to at least get a clear outlook as to what is anticipated for 2020. And how should you be looking at things, and how should you begin to prepare yourselves? And it's just not for big industry. It's not just for governments, but those small businesses can really find some valuable information from looking at this type of outlook and being prepared for that. And along with those three speakers, we're going to bring in some of our local leaders also to talk about what's happening in our local communities. What are we seeing for 2020? Okay. What do we anticipate? What are some of the challenges we're going to be facing? And how do we want to address some of those challenges? As you're well aware, we're looking at a number of different initiatives. We've got, of course, San Juan Generating Station issue.
Right, that's a big question mark.
That's a big question mark. We got the downtown revitalization happening.
Right, that's starting up
We've
soon.
got the community of Shiprock wanting to bring a hotel into their region. They're looking at that piece. We're looking at Aztec and Bloomfield really enhancing what they can do economically, and how can they begin to move forward with their plans and their expectations. So again, it's looking at our local communities also and allowing them to bring their message out and let us know what are they planning for 2020 and what should we prepare for. And possibly, again, do those pose some challenges to us? Do those pose some opportunities to us as business owners, as individuals? How do we begin to look at that? So again, I want to invite you January 8th to the Henderson Center.
Right, the Henderson Fine Arts Center here at San Juan College.
Here at San Juan College.
1 to 4 p.m.
1 to 4 p.m. And we're really looking forward to bringing these people in. It's a time for you to listen, but also to ask questions and to get some feedback and interaction in terms of what people are seeing, looking at 2020, maybe beyond a little bit beyond that. 2020 is going to be an election.
Right.
An election year. There could be implications in terms of what happens there. And so again, there are a number of things happening that could very much affect what we're trying to do here in the Four Corners region. And how do we begin to look at those aspects? And again, the idea here is to bring that information to our local public.
Right. Well, and I think it's notable that you are talking about really local information, because a lot of what we're exposed to sometimes through the media is national and global economic information. And it's sometimes hard to find local stuff. Even just for New Mexico, that doesn't always say that San Juan County is going to follow what's happening in New Mexico,
Exactly.
economically speaking. And so to really try to focus it on the region, and of course not leave out Colorado and our neighbors to the west in Arizona and Utah, to talk about the region is important as well, because we know that we have kind of a little economic bubble here, that thing, in an interactive economy between all four states.
Right.
And you've taught me that from talking just from talking to you. So I think that's important, and that looks like that's kind of what you're focusing on with this event.
That's what we're looking at, and we're really excited about this because, again, the idea here is as we move forward, we've got to move forward with information, with facts, with a clear idea as to what is happening and how could that affect our local economy, our local efforts to work with other regional partners. How could that affect tribal sovereignty, tribal development? Because those kind of issues are issues that we also have to begin to look at and work through with our neighboring communities, because in order for us to become successful economically, whether we're looking at natural gas, whether we're looking at oil, whether we're looking at coal, whether we're looking at renewables, whether we're looking at manufacturing, whatever area we need to look at, we've got to understand the information that's out there so that we can best develop our strategies, we can best develop our own business outlooks and our business plans to meet what is happening out there. And maybe there are ways that we may be able to influence some of those things happening within the state of New Mexico, within the Four Corners region, that will help assist the full region in its efforts to diversify its economy, revitalize the economy, looking at some of the challenges as some of our major industries are going through transition. How do we begin to look at that and not look at it and just sit down and say, well, woe is us?
Right.
But to look at it and say, okay, we see the challenges. Let's come together and figure out how do we get past this and how do we move forward. So that's why we're looking at this, because having this type of information will help build our abilities to look forward and then to figure out how do we begin to attack these challenges, or how do we take advantages of opportunities coming down the road.
Very true. And I know you and I talked before we came on the air this morning, Arvin Trujillo, about some communities that have not maybe taken control of their future. And certainly we know that there are things about the economy and about world events that we can't control, but there are other things maybe that the communities can control, or at least or have a little bit more control over. And that's, I think, a little bit more what you're talking about too. And information can be power if you get it and know how to use it.
That's correct.
And so that's kind of what you're talking about.
That's exactly right.
Arvin Trujillo is my guest this morning. He is the CEO of Four Corners Economic Development, and we were talking about some events that are coming up. You mentioned the railroad, of course, which always gets my attention, because I still think that is a possible economic driver and could be a boon to the area. But it may not be a railroad, because I think last time you were here, you talked about another type of long haul road, right? Which is another similar idea to a freight line,
right?
But maybe a little bit different. And maybe can we spend a few minutes talking about that this morning, because I think that's maybe new to some people, including me, about what that would be. But it's kind of like a road, but not for you and I to drive on, but it's really for these bigger trucks and things to just move goods back and forth. Is that the idea?
Exactly. And again, this is a process that's utilized in Australia, in the outback country. Basically,
big distances, and it's kind of
long distances,
rough terrain, and that's what we're talking about.
That's right.
Okay.
And plus that, the cost of laying rail in some of those areas is very costly. So what they've done is they've developed long haul roads where you could have what they call truck trains, which would have 3-4 trailers on them.
Okay.
And you would have trucks that would go back and forth with goods to haul across these private roads, really.
Designated roads.
And, you could look at it and enhance them. These are dirt roads. They're not paved roads. We could look at the same type of process. We're evaluating the option we would prefer would be to have a railroad system coming into the area. But again, we're looking at option B. Is there a possibility, if we can't really look at rail, that we look at what they call a long haul system? And we've done something like that here in the region before. I used to work for BHP. And
the old coal company.
The
so
old
if you remember
coal
that,
company.
yeah.
And I was at one point at the La Plata mine up in La Plata.
Which has now been closed for I don't know how many years.
Yes.
But folks may not remember the La Plata mine, but I still do. So, yeah.
But we used to haul coal 22 miles from the La Plata mine down to San Juan generating station.
Right.
And all of that was on a haul road. We hauled 240-ton truckload tons of coal.
Right.
Down that haul road 24 hours a day.
Well, and you could still see evidence, right? Because
Yes.
that's the overpass.
That's the
If you're
overpass.
driving up La Plata Highway, everyone, to
Exactly.
right south of the state line.
Exactly.
That's not an overpass you and I can drive on, but that's what these big, and they were bigger than normal sized, like dump trucks, right? Isn't that what they were using? These
they were
I don't know how
using
tall the tires were.
Oh,
6 feet tall?
No, they were bigger than that.
Okay.
They were about, I think they were about 8 to 10,
Okay.
10 feet high.
So these were specialized vehicles built for this
Specialized
purpose.
vehicle. They could haul 240 tons of coal. And you had those coal trucks going back and forth over that haul road on a 22-mile trip from
Back and forth from the mine to the power plant.
Be right.
Interesting.
And that was 24 hours a day.
Right.
7 days a week. And so we have experience doing that type of stuff. And so again, looking at a long haul system that would be very similar to that.
Okay.
But instead of 240 tons, you would have truckloads of trains basically carrying products back and forth. We're looking at that possibility too, because, you would still develop the hallway system, the haul road system. You'd have to maintain that system. It was done all on dirt road. We didn't pave that haul road going back and forth. It was all on dirt.
Okay.
But again, it's specialized. You have to make sure that you have the right gravel mix and et cetera to make sure that it would stand the pounding that these trucks were putting on that road.
Right.
Maintained it. And so the security, making sure private vehicles didn't get on that road and et cetera. And so again, these were things that we've done in the past. We have that type of experience. And so we're looking at all avenues to figure out what would be best for the county and how do we begin to look at developing a process by which we can get product out of the Four Corners area and do so in a manner that's safe but increase that productivity, opening up opportunities here at the Four Corners.
Right. And so this would be maybe these vehicles would be specialized. It wouldn't be like a semi-truck that we would see maybe on these types of roads. They'd be a little more specialized. And maybe
they would be a little bit more specialized, but you see some of those, especially back in the east, where you'll see somewhat larger semi-truck
a double trailer or something on the interstate.
But they'll have not double, they'll have triple trailers on them.
Okay.
But again, it's the roads that are the constraint to that. You really have to have really good roads, or else you'll tear those roads apart with
Yes.
the amount of weight that you're pulling. But again, that's what you would be looking at, and they have these trains that are 3-4 trailers behind them. And so again, those are things that we could take a look at. They would cut down on truck haulage on the roads that we currently have. They would cut down on the damage. We all see the damage that's happening on 550, on US 491.
So moving that off to this other designated road.
Into a designated road. Mm-hmm. So again, those are opportunities that we're seeing.
And I assume, Arvin Trujillo, that they would then start and finish at some kind of a offloading and reloading port kind of thing that maybe, and then that's where the other smaller trucks could pick up and make their deliveries or whatever they're going, right?
Exactly.
Almost like a train setup, right?
Almost like a train setup.
Okay.
But again, all of that comes back to what do we see coming down the pike? What do we see in the future? How do we look at, the current administration for years has talked about infrastructure development. Are there things there that we could take a look at? Are there things that we can begin to develop our own efforts, looking at petrochemical, looking at rail, looking at this haul road, looking at infrastructure that we need. Can we look at the state and figure out how we can best do that? Can we work with tribes to get this thing done? But again, it all comes back to what's happening economically within the state, within the nation, and even globally that will help us with our efforts to convince people to invest in these types of endeavors.
Very
here
true.
in Four Corners.
Very true. Well, and you mentioned the tribe, and I would imagine they are very interested in any of these conversations about
We've been working with the
either a rail
Navajo
or
Nation.
a
Yes.
haul road going through their territory.
Right,
So,
and we're working with them quite closely to see if we can forge a partnership to begin to look at this. And as I've spoken before earlier on other programs, we're also working with Southwest Colorado looking at broadband development and how that could be enhanced. But all in all, we've gotten indications from Southwest Colorado that if we were able to get some type of system put in place here, they would welcome that too. They would be a part of this effort. And so again, we're looking at this as a Four Corners endeavor. We're looking at this information sharing as a Four Corners opportunity to look at our region, to get information that is needed, and to bring that information to the public and to business owners here in the area.
very good. Well, Arvin Trujillo, thank you for coming in. Again, the event is coming up, save the date, January 8th.
That's right.
Here at San Juan College at the Henderson Fine Arts Center, 1 to 4. It is the Northwest Regional Economic Outlook, the forecast for 2020.
That's correct.
Very good.
And I'd just like to end this by saying, just want to wish everybody out there a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. We're still going to be at it, and I'll see you next year.
Very good. Same to you, Arvin Trujillo. Happy holidays. Merry
Thank
Christmas
you.
to you and your family.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Arvin Trujillo, my guest here on KSJE from Four Corners Economic Development. I'll be back with more in just a moment, everyone. The time is 8:35.
Lots of startups seem to have toxic cultures. That is not okay. But do female CEOs get called out for it more often? From American Public Media, this is Marketplace Tech, demystifying the digital economy. I'm Molly Wood. Earlier this